Hello everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you could only be here for one reason, and that is the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you by Comic Book Clique. And as you know, I am never alone. Sir, please introduce yourself.
I am your Cloudus Maximus.
Cloudus Maximus returns
We back.
to Major Issues headquarters, and it's been quite some time, and you are here in rare form because I believe this is the first time you've been in studio with your brand new haircut.
Ooh, yiddity.
For those who don't know,
special.
you used to have luscious locks and now a haircut.
It's a new 52.
It's a new 52. It's a new do. But I'm going to move on from that cut to a different kind of cut. A cut that seems to be taking the world by storm, and that's the
Snyder Cut.
The Snyder Cut. Have you heard of this?
It's back. We back on it. We back on the Snyder Cut.
Yes, it seems that there have been fans clamoring and knocking down the doors of AT&T, which just absorbed Warner Brothers. Everyone is demanding that they release Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut. Zack Snyder, the original director of Justice League, supposedly had his entire movie completely made. That's the rumor, that it was in the editing phase. Some people say that it was in early stages of special effects. But the thing is, people were saying that they want to see what that whole vision was because they weren't too happy with the vision that ended up being a mash of Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, who was brought in to direct to fix what they thought was too of a dark and bleak movie, which was the Zack Snyder cut. And that cut is supposedly over 3 hours. Yeah. Yeah. But some conspiracy theorists even believe that Warner Brothers might be announcing that maybe they will be bringing it out at Comic-Con. I don't know. This seems pretty dodgy, but
I'll see it. There's a whole lot of stuff that's in it that we missed, supposedly, so including Dark Side.
But the thing is, the whole reason why people are begging for this cut is because Justice League was a movie 80 years in the making, introducing the Justice League for the very first time in film. And it was based on a series of comic books, a series of issues of comic books. Justice League Volume 1 of the New 52, issues 1 through 6, which also introduced the whole team to a new group of readers, because the New 52 initiative basically started a lot of titles from scratch. Some people got their entire histories erased. Others, like Batman and Green Lantern, got to keep a lot of what they do. Batman's history is so big that they basically keep all that stuff. And you know that's all because of Flashpoint.
And because he's Batman.
Yeah, so Flashpoint happens, and some middling, supposedly, by Dr. Manhattan. And now we have a brand new Justice League, new character designs, new little tweakings of the origin. You know, a lot of these titles started, well, all of the titles started back in number 1. So this was a reintroduction of the team. It was written by Jeff Johns and drawn by Jim Lee, with Scott Williams as the inker. And how did you think about this introduction to the Justice League before we dive into it?
I loved it. Loved it very much. I seen the animated movie for it, and it's just like word for word almost, almost the same. But it makes me like the comic even more. Even more so because I get panels in here that you don't see because obviously the comic came out first. Yeah,
it was adapted in Justice League War. That's the animated film that you're talking about. But I think it's a good introduction. But it's funny because they have to rush this, right? They have to rush introductions for everybody, and some characters come off better than others.
They try to give you the gist.
Exactly. But it's also interesting as to what they think the gist of every character is, right? Because the gist of every character is different to everybody. But it's crazy to look and see which parts they wanted to keep or show off, because some of these characters act in ways that they've never acted, and maybe this was a set in to bring a new set of attitudes to the New 52. Because I felt like it was a little bit more edgy.
I thought so too. I like I like their suits and stuff like that too. So, especially my favorite honestly is Superman's little collar.
Right. Oh, we got to bring it up. Yes,
So
this is
that's real cool.
this
I really like that.
this and also the Superman title establishes Superman without the red trunks. For the first time, this comes out in 2011, along with the other new 52 titles, and yeah, that's a brand new outfit for Superman. He's got the trunks back though. So you a trunks guy or no trunks guy?
I don't know. It depends.
Henry Cavill don't have the trunks.
Henry. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Henry Cavill doesn't have the trunks, so I'm alright. I'm alright. No trunks. I think I'm a no trunks guy. You know.
And we mentioned that the movie was based off of the book.
I mean, classics are fine, but I'm alright.
We meant the movie was loosely based off the book. With the first difference right off the back, Superman's not dead in the book. How did you feel about them? That kind of difference where Superman
kind of like
is
around
meeting everybody for the first time
and getting into fights with Batman and Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know who they are. But the only person that seems to know who everybody is Batman. Cause Batman, and he's telling everybody. I mean, he knew who Aquaman was when he showed up. Yeah, well, obviously, you're gonna know who Aquaman is once he shows up. Anyway, he's gonna pop up the water. So
yeah, that's another thing. Batman knew a lot about a lot of these members. And speaking of members, the newest member of this team, of this lineup of the Justice League, Cyborg.
Yeah, Cyborg.
Cyborg gets a lot in this story. And there's almost a silhouette of how much he would have gotten in the Justice League film that came out last year. Am I the only one seeing that? Do you see like where there could have been more Cyborg or the same story?
Definitely see that.
And
you see I guess that's what the Snyder Cut comes in. You see him walking in his jacket and trailer, and
his varsity jacket,
varsity jacket for his football team in the trailer, but you don't get it in the movie,
right?
So, kind of makes me miss him a little bit more.
I also think I heard that the movie says that it was a car crash. And they just used mother box technology, where in here it was an explosion. But Cyborg, former Teen Titan, joined the Justice League in place of Martian Manhunter. I like Johns.
Yeah, I like Johns too.
But the same way that Johns was the telepathic.
In this one, he gets the accident happens to him, and he's in the Justice League right off the bat.
Yeah, he's in the Super 7. As they call themselves.
Barry.
But let's jump right in, and we're going to skim through. This is a pretty, I think, enjoyable comic, and there's not really much in the way of dialogue or in the way of just heavy exposition. I think you know these characters, you see these characters, and they just basically show what these characters do.
But the team-up is real. I like the team-up.
Yeah. And what they were saying when they were talking about developing this series, this origin book, was that a lot of people think of the Justice League as happy-go-lucky and very cheery. And while it's fine for them to get there, why not play with them before they get there, right? Why not show what it is to rub people's... show them when they rub each other the wrong way, when they rub shoulders. And speaking of rubbing shoulders... there's even little hints to the eventual relationship between Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I saw that little, you're strong, yeah, you too.
Superman, whose history ends up being, that's why he has this new suit, his history ends up being altered, and he's not with Lois Lane. This is the continuity that recognizes those two as a couple. And you want to talk about power couples. You got Hal back, out of all the Green Lanterns. Barry's back instead of Wally. This was the team that they wanted to establish. And Jeff Johns, being the writer of this team, he worked personally on bringing Hal and Barry back from the various weird mystical places that they went to in DC, and bringing them to the forefront. But they choose to start off with Batman, and that's kind of where the movie starts off.
Yeah. Parademon on the roof.
But in this one, he's public enemy number 1. Already, this is 5 years before. Did you understand what they said when they said it was 5 years ago?
No.
Basically, because I thought about it for a second. I was like, 5 years of 2011. Like, what do they mean 5 years? And it's 5 years from when Barry went forward in time from Flashpoint and gave Bruce the letter.
Oh,
in
so
the
5 years
fixed
after.
slash tweaked.
So 5 years after the Flashpoint.
Yeah, fist in the fixed slash tweaked uh, universe. I guess right at the Flashpoint. This is when all this occurs. So yeah, you have him basically chasing after some hooded figure, like in the well, you end up finding that out in the film. But I think right off the bat, they're showing you that he's doing all these kind of flips. He has all these gadgets. You know who Batman is. You just want to see him use all his stuff, and he's trying to interrogate this thing before it blows up. And then you get a cool shot of a fire truck construct that smashes right through the parademon, and boom, you get the Green
Green
Lantern.
Lantern coming through.
You get Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is in rare form in this book.
Yeah, I would say so.
Jeff Johns, being a big fan of the Green Lantern, being a big fan of Hal Jordan, made sure that Hal Jordan had a voice here.
Boy, did he.
And, I mean, it causes for a lot of interesting dialogue between heroes, I think. But it starts off the map because
I mean, he wants to be the. I guess he's trying to be the cool guy.
yeah,
You know, I mean, Green Lantern's cool. He's cool. I like Green Lantern. I always thought Green Lantern was cool anyway.
why
I
don't
mean, first of all, if you're a Lantern, I think you're gonna be cool regardless.
and it's crazy because we did the Which Is Worse episode
Mystical rings,
available.
man. Come on.
We did the Which Is Worse episode with Green Lantern and X-Men Origins Wolverine, available wherever podcasts are found. Just look at Major Issues. So we talked about the merit that the Green Lantern movie had, but do you think that they were so scared of putting the Green Lantern back in another movie that they couldn't do it for the Justice League? There just wasn't enough time. What do you think it was?
I think that's sprinkled. I mean, but because if you're gonna do a second round with Green Lantern, it's gonna be somebody new.
Yeah,
I guess it's got to be right. They don't want to strike out twice with it,
right.
so I guess it's something they want to be careful with at least.
Yeah,
You know.
because this origin has been split between three different ways between the comic book version, the animated version, and the live action version. The animated version switches out Aquaman for Shazam, and the live action version just takes out Green Lantern entirely. And I think that Green Lantern is so vital to the beginning of the the story that it's weird of a choice for them to not put him in. But he's here, and he starts with the first joke we get, almost like Marvel-esque, right? Where it starts off. I mean, not like Marvel invented jokes, but he starts off with Batman, you're real? And Batman already off the jump is like, yo, turn your thing off. And
Make it hot,
stop making it hot. And Hal starts to show off, and he's able to basically have a whole construct of a SWAT team block all the bullets from this the GCPD who's trying to gun down Batman because he thinks Batman's with the parademon. Everyone thinks that all these superheroes are with these other demon things. How do you feel about this open wide superhero prejudice that's going on?
I mean, I guess if it ain't normal, it's got to be their fault.
I mean, is it me? Several times in this comic, aren't they like, they're super kill 'em or something like that? I know
anybody that's got superpowers or that's not basically human.
You can't trust it.
You can't trust them, or you either gotta shoot
'em. But yeah, Batman says basically the world's afraid of us. That's why they're shooting at us. And Green Lantern's like, you guys say that like it's necessary. I mean, you say it like it's a good thing. He's like, it's necessary because you gotta get over the whole fear, Dark Knight thing. But this parademon is basically going crazy, and they're going through to chase it, and they go through the sewer, and then going through the sewer, we get that awesome interaction where Green Lantern is basically interrogating Batman, trying to find out
who got how.
Yeah, he's basically trying to find out what Batman has to offer. He's like, can you fly? Do you have super strength?
No powers, bro.
No powers, and says like, are you kidding me? You're coming out of here basically out the gate with no superpowers. You don't really do anything. Are you freaking kidding me? And boom, Batman pulls the Green Lantern ring right off his finger. How do you feel about Batman showing up, Hal Jordan, in this instance?
First of all, I wouldn't have my wallet around Batman.
Yeah, right?
Pickpocket Batman. How do you take out? First of all, because
He's
Batman.
got.
First of all, I'm
He's
gonna get
trained.
this
He's
up
an.
because he's Batman.
He's trained. He's an
So
assassin.
oh man, how very sneaky do you have to be to take off the ring of Green Lantern? What are you talking to?
He must have been.
Or just took it off real quick.
It's a good question. He must have been curious about it, right? Because at one point he says that he read about. I mean, yeah, he heard about like his conflicts with the Air Force.
You should have just put it on, get it over
So-
with if you don't take it.
So I could see a situation where Bruce Wayne hears about this guy, this weird Green Lantern guy who's beefing with the Air Force, and then just like studies where. Oh, I think it's coming from that ring, and then he sees him because he doesn't say like, oh, like who are you or any of that stuff. He just Hal does all the talking, and Hal is able to tell him everything about like I'm from this sector and there's a bunch of sectors and
The
I
ring
patrol
this,
Earth
the ring
and,
that.
and yeah, the ring this
The Guardians
and
in
that.
the ring.
So for the first time coming in, if you don't know anything about these characters,
They're pretty much
basically-
laying it out.
they're setting it up. But yeah, off the bat, Green Lantern's coming off as this real brash and cocky. You know, he's even like right when this happens and he gets the ring back, he looks like he wants to start a fight. And he looks like he's
Nobody
about to.
takes off my ring.
Yeah, they look like they're about to go at it before they see Parademon
Sneaking
like
around.
self-destruct. The Parademon suicide
Plan.
bomber. There's a mother box and it explodes. And this is an introduction to mother boxes. Now, your first introduction to mother boxes, would that be the movie? The film?
Not really. I've
You
seen them around in the animated movies, the comics a little bit.
Okay.
So I went in familiar to it.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Yeah, there are these weird
Ping 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 ping.
yeah, there are these weird devices. It turns out, right, that Jack Kirby, who man created so much, he created what was called like the Fourth World, and that's where you get Darkseid and High Father, New Genesis, and Orion, and all those things, and the Mother Box technology that's futuristic and can do everything. And then I think something happened where like maybe the issues got canceled, and they just merged all the stuff over. They brought these dimensions of Apocalypse and
these weapons.
Apocalypse and New Genesis over. New Genesis basically being a heavenly place, and Apocalypse constantly burning. Yeah, constantly burning, and you're not allowed to feel happiness. I think they say at one point in the comic. They're like pleasure. Like, you better not be feeling pleasure. That's forbidden.
Oh, so I gotta move.
But
Guess I'll just move now.
these parademons are exploding, and we saw them explode in the film. They explode here, and they're staying for Darkseid. And Green Lantern's like, it sounds like a death cry, but is that supposed to be like a band or something? And I thought that was pretty funny because Darkseid does sound kind of cliche, but just as much as Apocalypse, and then you got Apocalypse and X-Men and all those other kind of villain names. But I thought it was pretty funny. You get this mother box technology, and off the bat, Batman's like, it looks alien. It might have to do with that alien in Metropolis. So you're already like, oh no.
Superman.
And
Kryptonian.
yeah, he is not with hanging out with Superman. He's dangerous. And in the new Superman story, he was kind of reckless. Like, he was kind of like, I'm doing what I do, stay off my back. It was just like this new, no pun intended, like New 52. A new introduction to the character where he was a lot more rough around the edges.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of people were, I guess, saying
Two
a
goody
bunch
two
of
shoes, I guess. Okay. So, he's too good. But that's cool though, because that explains the kind of fight, their little melee between Green Lantern and Batman.
Yeah, because now, and think about it. They said that the New 52 was, if they could start from the beginning, how would they? So if you are, one of these heads, Jeff Johns and Jim Lee basically run DC at this point with Dan Didio. You get to make the introductions of these characters. So you get to do the first Superman line in Justice League of this brand new continuity. You get to introduce Superman. And so they already get us tempted by even mentioning him and that he's in Metropolis and that he's an alien, that people are aware of it and all this kind of stuff. But you even get that little quick thing about Vic Stone, aka Cyborg, a little bit of origin where you see him playing football and his dad's not around. Did you know about this part of Vic's origin?
I knew he was a football player. I didn't know. Daddy wasn't there. But I knew his dad was a scientist, so I figured should have just connect the dots.
Do you think that in any way adds to the story? Because we don't get any of that in the film.
Well, for Victor, hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, because that's his father, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They already kind of had a strife and an issue before all the all the madness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of the madness that becomes Cyborg, you also have those issues there. But yeah, his dad kind of has a point, and we'll get to what his dad's argument for, because his dad has a quote unquote valid argument for not showing up for any of this stuff. But we'll get to that. But you got scouts and stuff trying to call him, and he can't do anything without his pops. He sees the Green Lantern construct in the sky, and Hal again the entire time, like you were talking about, right? Green Lantern,
got
it.
This.
Earth to Batman, all this other kind of stuff. My ring can do everything. Here's a plan. Green Lantern goes there and restrains Superman for questions. Batman waits here, and just like a cartoon, right? He smiles, and boom, Superman comes swinging, knocks out Hal basically. Batman gets a little bit knocked down, and Superman's there. I don't handle easy, so what can you do?
And knocking him around.
Introduction of New 52 Superman. Boyish hair, all afloat. You said you like the collar?
I like the collar.
I kind of dig the collar. Collar's not bad. Yeah, but everyone's younger. Everyone's younger.
I like that.
Because they were starting from scratch. So he seems kind of like younger and ready to get more hot-headed, like maybe a little bit more immature, a little bit more new to the game. But Superman is here, and so now we already have in one issue, you already have Green Lantern, Batman, and Superman. How did you like Green Lantern and Batman's kind of banter here?
Oh, I liked it because I eventually I knew either Green Lantern was gonna get his or somebody was gonna get the one up on Lantern anyway. That I was hoping would be Batman, and so I kind of popped when I seen him take off the ring.
And I guess the cockiness of Green Lantern lets Batman be quiet and look cooler with his skills, right? Because he's not saying, I have this, I have that, I can do this, I can do that. He's just doing it. Whereas Hal, for a while in this book, is talking and really failing a lot of times. Showing you that his power has to rely on his will, where he gets his power from willpower, right? Green Lantern.
I mean, he's getting smacked around by Superman.
Oh my gosh, when they get into like the pinball thing, that's hilarious.
Superman is and the chains too. Kind of laughed at that.
But Superman's already ready, and he has to have, if Batman's seen or knows of the Green Lantern, you gotta think Superman does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Clark, but he already ready to fight. He also thinks that they're with these parademons because they have a mother box. But I don't understand why. Like, maybe not. I don't understand. I get what the point is. The point is to have confusion and to have conflict. But I don't think the older Superman would have just been ready to throw hands.
Yeah, I think he just stopped to ask questions, at least. Because they don't even look... I mean, at least Batman and Hal don't even look anything close to parademonish. You know what I mean?
Right. So, and is it one of those things where he knows, like, the force of which I flew would not crack his ribs? And, like, if it is, then maybe, but it was just a little weird. But we were talking about shorthand, right? And all you really have to know about Superman is that he's ready, he's strong, he's here right now. And his eyes are red in that shot. You know that Batman is resourceful. He seems to be clever. He's athletic. He's public enemy number one. Like, people know about him, but he doesn't have powers. So it makes you think, well, how could this guy be such a myth? He doesn't have powers. He never met, but he researched Superman and he knows stuff about Green Lantern so far. And you got basically all of Green Lantern. I think he had the most backstory in this because you find out a little bit more about Batman later on when he lays out who Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah, who Bruce Wayne.
But you get a lot of
Green
Green Lantern in this. So you would mostly say that issue 1 was about Green Lantern. But I love that issue 2 basically begins with Barry Allen. And this is a very different Barry Allen than the movie Barry Allen. In this one, he's already a forensic scientist and working for the CCPD and working in the crime lab. And Director Singh, just like the show, just like his continuity always has with Barry Allen, working for Director Singh. And his whole thing is that his mother was killed and they could never find the killer, so his dad was put into prison. So he has an obsession with cases that are unsolved, which are called cold cases, and he needs to solve them all. And they want to solve who the Flash is. That's what A number 1 is. Is that a thing where you frame somebody? You're like, oh, I caught him. It's this guy. Just to get everybody off your back. But yeah, he seems to be in 2 places at once. They allude to him being the Flash, but he doesn't put on the gold and red just yet. Scarlet Speedster. Superman explains that Batman, through dialogue, explains that Batman has thrown everything he can at him. There's a sonic grenade. He's like used all kinds of different bullets,
the gas,
and gas, and that's what bugs me out about this is like Batman knows the Superman. Batman knows Superman is dangerous, right? And that Superman's an alien. If they're basing any of their movies off of this Batman doesn't seem to have kryptonite on him.
No.
Right?
No.
So it's not about that, right? Like, he knows he's dangerous, but he hasn't studied him like that. It eventually gets to this point, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's because of this fight, where he's like, nah, next time he wants to put his hands on me like this, I need to be prepared. But Superman's flipping out because he's like, that guy, that thing attacked me and it blew up and it almost took down a building with him. Who are you? And Green Lantern's trying to use his construct to help out and chain up Superman. And you get that cool, Superman unchained, pop into the chains. And the constructs are always so well drawn. Like, they're so clear and vibrant enough that you know that they're light constructs. But no matter what Hal seems to do, especially in the early parts of the story, it doesn't work. He builds shields and you see them breaking and everything is shattering. And he builds a ball for him and Superman to be in. And they're just knocking this ball around. He builds a ball for him and Batman to be in and then just knocking the ball around. And in the meantime, because his cell phone is linked to his ring, he decides to
call Barry Allen.
And he calls Barry, and they're doing like the whole, like a sitcom would, right? Like where they're having a conversation in his dire moment of
shut up,
danger.
Get over here.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm with Batman. Batman's real? And everyone's bugging out that Batman's real. You were Superman, are you crazy? And he bugs out, and basically it gets to the point, and this is how Batman has no powers. Hal has this ring, and it's the only thing stopping them from Superman seemingly crushing them. And again, Superman is not asking questions; he's crushing through these constructs because this is a fight at this point. And I'm pretty sure Superman is ready to eliminate the enemy. So, in this dire moment of need, Green Lantern basically says, this guy is going to kill us, and instantly Flash shows up. How'd you like that Flash introduction?
So slow down, Superman. Now catch some soups.
That's one of the things I could say instantly that I noticed about the Flash character. They just cool. In the first panel, or first series of panels, he's just a good guy, wants to solve these cases, wants to make sure that the right people, uh,
But when he suit up,
yeah, and same thing. And then when he suits up, he's right there. Yeah, he was a little bit annoyed because they said that in a previous engagement they fought Grodd, and they destroyed the Natural History Museum or something.
So Hal's been a pain in the butt for a little while.
Right, and they gave those two a little backstory because you can't have everybody introduce themselves to everybody. It takes a very long time. But instantly, just like in the film, you get a little bit of back and forth with Flash and Superman in a Who's Quicker Than Who, where Superman is trying to attack Flash, and Flash is like, don't bother, you can't catch me, I've never been touched. And then Superman flicks him and sends him flying. Did you feel that that was embarrassing at all? Or?
A little bit. It was a flick, bro. You didn't even punch him. I mean, if you would have punched him, you probably would have killed him, but...
Yeah. But again, we're establishing characters, right? So, yeah, and even this, it wasn't... I read it again. I originally thought it was kind of like a cocky, like, oh, you can't catch me. Mm-hmm. But I think it was more like just trying to instruct. Like,
let him know.
Hey, by the way, just calm it down. Yeah.
I'm super duper fast. You won't catch me, bro.
Yeah. But they're able to convince Superman, like, nah, we're not working with those things. As you can see, we can talk, and we're humans, and we've been trying to talk to you for a very long time as you've been trying to kill us. In the meantime, Flash decides to clean up because he's, again, good guy Flash, right? No one asks him to clean up. Nope. He just says...
Guess I clean up?
Yeah, I guess I clean up. So he cleans up some of the rubble because there's been a whole bunch of property damage just because of this simple misunderstanding. This apartment buildings that are down and nurseries that have been blown up, all because they didn't want to have a conversation about what was going on. But Batman's just bugging out because no one knows about this mother box technology, but now they have like 2 of these things and they seem to be popping up all over the place. Star Labs has one, and he's like, I don't want them to be anymore. And mother boxes had a lot to do with Cyborg's origin in the story, and it has a lot to do with Cyborg's origin in the movie. I think it's kind of cool that it's this sort of alien technology that takes over him. Initially, Cyborg, if I'm not mistaken, his parents were like these weird scientists, and they used to like experiment on everybody and him in weird dimensions and stuff. And some demon comes, kills the mother, and harms him to near death. And the father basically makes him half robot, half machine, half man. In this is actual futuristic technology. So I guess that will then allow the character to constantly evolve, right? Mm-hmm. The more ideas you can think of, the more you could just say the alien technology.
And along with the mother box, yeah.
Whereas if that just built you from what the technology was at the time, how do you... I mean, have you seen some of those old Cyborg drawings where he just has like a tank top and metal, like weird metal... but he definitely has a cool new 52 design. And I actually thought he looked pretty cool in the movie. Especially at the end when he gets his new logo. But we get to Vic Stone in Star Labs where they got the mother box because they're telling the father, Vic's father, like, oh, your son's here, and he's like like
he knows what he did.
He's like, just let him in, and he doesn't even really let him talk. Vic is trying to sit here and say, like, Dad, I'm really doing well. I'm doing really well. People need me, scholarships, and all sorts of other kind of stuff. And he's like, listen, bro, I am here studying metahumans, like superhumans. Why would you ever think, like, any of the stuff that you could do, a regular person, even at the peak of humanity, is going to impress me? Like, or not impress me, that it matters in the whole scope of things. It's one of those things where he's not wrong, but he's still a jerk, right?
Yeah. Still gotta be a dad.
And you can see how much succeeding means to Victor about, doing well in football and having these scouts come look for him. And he's being respectful by saying, I want my dad around. I need my dad around. Sign me up and stuff. But he calls what he does obsolete, which is kind of hurtful after being so good at getting so good at that, to have, your father, somebody you look up to, somebody you love, say that it's obsolete, saying that it's a joke, and when Vic says you're really never gonna come to any of my games, he says no.
He says no, yeah.
And they have
I
that
was like,
beautiful drawing of
oh,
them so
yeah, so
far
far
apart,
apart, yeah.
right? Just showing the real emotional distance between the two. The rest of the team, Batman, Superman, Flash, and Green Lantern are regrouping in a abandoned printing press. Um, and it's one of my favorite parts in here is that Flash is like, I think I can go check it for fingerprints and stuff like that. And Batman's like, you sound like a cop. And Green Lantern goes, Barry, you letting him know about your secret identity. He goes, well, now that you know, and you just call me Barry, genius. I thought that was really good. But their mother box starts pinging. The mother box in a Star Lab starts pinging. And then a boom tube happens. The mother box is let off an explosion. A boom tube happens. And the residual radiation that comes through with the boom tube, what would you say, barbecues Vic Stone? Look at, I mean, this
Yeah,
this image of him being ripped apart, you know, and just after this heartbreaking conversation of like, all I want you to do is come to my game, Dad. You get a cool little confidential backstory. Did you get into that with Amanda Waller and Steve Trevor?
A little bit.
It's kind of long, but it gets into a little bit of, you know, how Steve Trevor found Paradise Island, because in the next issue, you're jumping into Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman is also somebody who is, just like Superman in this, really just ready to throw down.
Throw hands. I feel like she wants to throw hands all the time after reading this one.
Yes. Did you get that from the movie, though? I didn't get that from, like, either of the portrayals in the movies.
No. It doesn't say that's a bad thing, though. I was just captivated by the beauty. That's all that was.
Gal Gadot
so
is
she
a
could have
very
been.
beautiful
She
actress.
could have been ready, but I was just captivated.
Issue 3 opens up with everyone still hating on everybody. They're hating on Wonder Woman in this instance. Everyone knows about her. They hate her for believing in Zeus and all this other kind of stuff. And they are terrified because she is simply walking around with
Her gear on.
her gear on. But that's straight out of the movie, right? Where she's walking on her sword and that's all bugged out. But Steve Trevor seems to have lost. Steve Trevor has lost control, and has lost Diana in general. Campbinder, she just walked out, and when he says like, "Why didn't you stop her?" they basically make it clear that she can't be stopped. So right there in just dialogue, first page, no introduction to Wonder Woman yet. You get a lot, right? That she's causing property damage, that she believes in Zeus, that she has this sword.
And she's clearly not from around here.
Exactly. And then the very first page that you see her on, has anyone seen a heartbeat? She's there with this long ass sword. And you see the crowd is scared to death. And she's walking. Those boots are made for walking. She's just walking the streets. It's something no one's ever seen before. An Amazonian just walking the streets of Earth. And then you get the famous ice cream scene where she tries ice cream for the first time. How'd you like revisiting that from the movie?
That was good. And that was on point because she was blown away by the ice cream.
I like that she asks us for one, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, sure, as long as you don't like stab me and take off my arm or anything." That was really, really cool. And even with like Steve Trevor, you should see this. You should try this ice cream thing. And she lets out that like she's been like babied her whole life and kind of like coddled.
She's tired of laying low.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, it's not like I want to like party. She just wants to fight.
Yeah, she
like
wants to fight.
now that I'm not coddled, I just want to fight. So she mentions that, and all of a sudden, you know, you hear these pings, and these mother boxes are able to create these boom tubes. These boom tubes are, I saw a good comparison. They're DC's Bifrost, leading to the dimension of Apocalypse or New Genesis. Apocalypse of New Genesis, and you could use boom tubes to go short distances, like you'll see later on. But these boom tubes are blowing up, and you see boom tubes in the movie. That's how Steppenwolf's able to get around. He uses the mother box technology, so I think that's all pretty cool. That they're introducing it here, and like I said, everything is coming so quick, so you're just paying attention. You're just seeing boom every time everybody shows up. You're seeing booms, you're seeing pings. Those things are showing up, and those are things that when parademons show up, you know that one thing leads to another. But they show up, and Wonder Woman smiles from ear to ear,
Hand.
and everybody when they get back to Star Labs, people are just getting picked up. All the scientists are getting picked up. The explosion has torn apart the labs. And Vic is, being held by his father, Silas, and he's just, like, still on fire.
Yeah,
and they're like,
trying to
leave
fix
him, Vic. He's gone. He's like, I won't lose him. And he's like, I refuse to watch him die. I already saw his mother die. Parademons are, like I said, by Star Labs in Detroit. They're in Metropolis, just carrying people away. They're noticing that they're all they're doing is carrying people away, and the semi-Justice League, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Batman, are out there taking out as many parademons as they can. But Superman is literally taking out like hordes by himself. He bundles up a bunch, hits him with a bunch of cars, and he's into it. He's like, yeah, smile for me. He's like doing all this cocky Superman stuff. But Cyborg, we go back to Cyborg because, like, again, he's on fire, and we're brought to the Red Room, and we're told the Red Room has all kinds of secret alien technology. It's a secret, like, lab where they've been testing all kinds of alien technology that they're probably not supposed to. And he promises not to leave Vic. And they're about to do some crazy experimental stuff off of it with Vic. But how did you like that it's about Vic's origin being broke up? Because we get almost none of the origin in the film, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's already cyborg. So none of this that we're speaking of so far has happened. We get that small bit in BVS, right, where you see kind of like his head, and the dad has the mother box technology and moves it over to him, and he starts to yell, and his cyborg body kind of starts to form. Mm-hmm. That's in the Lex Luger files when they send the right. But with this new layer and watching his father, so desperate. His father says it in the film, like, you were gonna die. I did this to save you. But like, this is like we see graphically, like, legit he was gonna go. That he's covered in fire. I think it adds another tragic layer to this this superhero origin that we're seeing. And not only are we seeing it, it's playing out through this Justice League title, through the newest member. While everyone's a new member because everyone just joined, right? He's the newest member in the sense that he was in the original 7. So he gets his origin.
At the same time.
And sprinkled while the entire team comes together, and he eventually joins that team. I think that's pretty cool. But I think that doing it that way, would that make it eventually a cyborg movie? Like if you did it that way in the movie, in the comics? I feel like the two people who get the most burn in this are Cyborg and Green Lantern. And Green Lantern takes an effective turn because in the beginning he doesn't want to be a team at all. And, at the end he kind of jokes around that he doesn't want to. But he kind of, figures out, believing in yourself and all that kind of stuff. So without Green Lantern, it becomes because they don't have Green Lantern, it would then just become a Cyborg movie. And there's parts of that because Cyborg is very instrumental in the movie. In the ending, when he has to pull
the mother boxes up.
Yeah. But I think they cut a lot of Cyborg out, a lot of this origin out.
Hell yeah.
And I think that's where you lose some of it. Green Lantern and the cutting up of Cyborg, I think, is what ended up being the death nail. But neither here nor there, because as they're trying to take out as many parademons as possible, they hear creatures of evil, and Wonder Woman shows up, and she is doing her Wonder Woman thing, and she's killing them. And there's a little bit of flirtation between her and Superman. They eventually date to some's, delight and to some's dismay. Again, more graphic shots of Vic, and we gotta save him. We gotta use the technology. It has to work. They use promethium, a promethium skin graft, and promethium is a metal. Like all those metals, like Batmantium and all those weird DC metals. So, all kinds of weird futuristic and mystical qualities to it, like adamantium and all those
Hmm.
vibranium. And they that plus the, like, I guess the radiation for the mother box technology and everything that's going on. Um, he like gets plugged in, like the nanites that they injected him with just start to work, and he just starts to like speaking 00101s, and uh, he basically is plugged in, and he's having like this overload of senses, and has a vision of apocalypse and dark side and just hellfire and all that kind of stuff, and it looks like he's gonna faint, and a boom tube opens up in the ocean, and then all of a sudden a humongous parademon like mountain shows up, and Aquaman shows up. We get our first showing of Aquaman. Now, nothing like Jason Momoa,
Hmm.
but
It's Momoa-ish.
going
Momoa-ish.
going as far as you can to make him cool, right?
Hmm.
They establish that his outfit is all armor, so it's not like he just went and was like, "This is the look I want." Like, it's all traditional Atlantean armor. How you feel about the bling?
I like the bling.
You like the bling?
He's a surfer dude,
Yeah.
you know?
Has the Trident chain, but still as tough and as gruff as they're trying to make him. Because again, first introduction, right?
Mm.
So
I'm king of Atlantis.
he comes in and he's like, "Well, who's in charge? I vote me."
Just like that.
So you already see that he's a take charge guy. This Aquaman, he's making his debut, so it's a big deal, and that's a pretty cool line to have him on. The next issue is funny because it's the cover of it is him standing over Green Lantern. It just reminds me of how many comic book issues are so, like, they just lie during their
Yeah.
covers. The covers sometimes have absolutely nothing to do with what actually goes on inside. It's just a visual representation of something, but that doesn't even describe what happens because at no point is he standing over Hal and his trident. But you see this graphic thing of, I guess, of the nanites and the technology and the promethium and all that stuff, and his skin, the burnt skin and the radiation, all fusing and melding, and it's disgusting. And
Shh.
it starts to do the whole, like,
Upgrade.
initiated, upgrading and assimilating, reconfiguring, and the parademons show up, boom tube, and boom, we get the white noise cannon, OG cyborg technique, and comes right out of his hand. We get something similar in the film. He uses it against Superman, and in a similar fashion where it just kind of happens, where it's a defense mechanism. And in a lot of ways, the machine does have that autopilot kind of technology. And the father says at one point, right, like, don't fight the.
You know how to use it yet, so.
Yeah, but like the dad wrote the AI or something, right? Because his dad's like,
yeah, 'cause
don't fight the programming or whatever.
It'll do it for you so you get the hang of it.
But after his hand turns into a literal gun, he's like, "Oh my God, my hand, my face! Dad, what did you do to me? How could you do this?" And again walks away from his dad. We get everyone chilling up with Aquaman, and everyone's giving him gruff about being the guy. Oh, are you real? I thought you were just a sketch. And Aquaman's like, "Well, I'm here because I saw those things in the ocean. But we need to figure out who's gonna be leader." They joke around a little bit about that, but Hal again is getting at Aquaman, right?
Shut up, Hal.
He gets at
Just for this
everybody,
one, just be quiet.
getting at Aquaman, calling him Aqua Fresh
Yep.
and all kinds of stuff.
I'm just shaking my head. Somebody's gonna punch this man in the face.
And he's like, we don't need. He's like, is this when I think, no, he gives Batman some crap about, like, well, if all he could do is talk to fish, then we don't need him because we already got a guy that doesn't do anything on this team. And he's giving him crap, and he's like, so what can you do? Like, we got everybody here. We got a guy who can fly, fastest man alive, all this other kind of stuff. All the stuff I could do with my ring. What can you do? And then you see a bunch of parademons coming at them, yelling for Darkseid. And in a cool shot, how you feel about this right here? This image. What's the word you could use to describe this image right here?
In all his Atlantean glory. You heard?
Sharks. I don't know how fast all these sharks got here, right?
Atlantean muscle.
I don't know how fast all these sharks got
He had
here.
to flex on Green Lantern real quick.
You think the entire time that he was giving Green Lantern was giving him stuff, he was like,
Get closer.
yeah,
Get
because
closer,
these
sharks.
guys couldn't have been all
You
here
know what I'm
chilling.
saying? We gotta show off right now. We gotta flex.
But they tear these things apart. So yes, as long as he's close by water, we got this. We are here, and he's taking them out, and they're dealing with while they're dealing with parademons, while they're trying to save the world, the military shows up. Steve Trevor shows up, and they start trying to gun down the Justice League. And they're like, even if she could withstand the bullets, like just try to hail them with a bunch of gunfire. Meanwhile, Vic ran away from Star Labs, and he's getting visions of what's going on over there because he's connected to Apocalypse, so he's getting visions of Apocalypse and the technology, and he's realizing that what all this stuff is meant to do is the parademons are kidnapping people and using technology to turn them into parademons, like this mindless army for Darkseid, repurposing organic material is what they call it. So he's having all these visions, and that's how we get to know what Darkseid's eventual plan is, or a lot of talk about Darkseid for Darkseid. And another boom tube sequence, or Cyborg boom tubes away. Superman is like, these guys are shooting at us. We need to shut them down. And Flash is like, shut them down. What the heck are you talking? Like, what do you think this is? And Superman says, you seem like someone who wants to do the right thing, but the same can't always be said for everyone in positions of authority. And I thought that was kind of like,
yeah, that was kind of
weird.
Cool. Yeah. It was weird, cool to say. I guess.
Yeah,
I kind of got
cool.
where he came from.
It was cool for Superman to say, you seem like someone who wants to do the right thing. What was not cool, or what was weird, was that Superman didn't also want to do the right thing. Right? Like, he doesn't say that. He doesn't put his hand on his shoulder and say that and nod. He puts his hand on his shoulder, says that, and flies like that. And real people got to do what? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool that you want to be good, but real people got to handle the business. And so Superman tries to take out some of these helicopters, and it looks like Flash is stopping him. And in a scene right out of the movie, you see Green Lantern randomly say, Wonder Woman's like, we need a plan to get all those men out of the helicopters, I guess, before Superman murders everyone. And Green Lantern says, I'll get them out of the choppers and to safety. Not to be a good guy like the Flash, but because I want to impress you. Most of what I do is about trying to impress people. And the time when I was reading it, I'm like, why is it yellow?
Yeah, why is it yellow?
Beautiful little hint, right?
That was cool.
You find out that he was had the lasso of truth in his hand, which was very, very funny. And something very similar happens with Aquaman.
Aquaman when they sitting on the Batmobile.
Yeah, which is pretty cool that they kept that, because that was a pretty cool joke. And how is a lot of the comic relief in this, which again explains why they had to kind of make Barry Hal-ish, which is weird because Hal is not even Hal-ish in this. So it's like, I don't know. But
everybody wants to punch Hal in the
Cyborg
face.
Randomly booms to exactly where the Justice League is. And Green Lantern grabs him up. It's like, I'm going to kill him. I got one. And they're like, no. He seems to be a regular person. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's just somebody wearing armor. And they're like, no, it's not armor. It's him. And just like in Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War, Victor starts to randomly say, like, no, they go world to world. He's coming right here. And they're like, who are you talking about? And boom, literally boom, Darkseid appears for the first time in the New 52. And he's here. In all his glory, the big bad. And they literally say, Hal says, I'm guessing that's the bad guy. And in one swoop, he's able to knock down the entire Justice League. And that's what ends issue 4. Which then brings me to this. Why did they not have Darkseid?
And when we found out he was supposed to be in it, just kind of pissed me off.
Is Darkseid not important to the?
It's very important.
I feel like Darkseid was very important.
But he wasn't important to them. Apparently, he was important enough to Snyder.
But Steppenwolf, well, they were gonna show Darkseid, but he was never gonna have the fight with the Justice League.
Right.
Do you think? I mean, that would have definitely set DC apart, right? Because we waited forever to see Thanos and the Avengers go at it. So it'd be cool to have a villain with a grudge, a villain who fought the Justice League, lost, and then came back for his vengeance. But we don't get that. But everyone's knocked down. Flash is the first one up, I guess, maybe because of his super recovery thingy, stuff like that. And we got Darkseid just using Omega beams to take out a bunch of planes, and he shoots the Omega beams at Superman and the Flash. And what's cool is Flash starts to like help Superman run out of the way of the Omega beams, but we find out both the reader and Flash and Superman that the Omega beams follow you. Again, a quick education about Darkseid. He's from a distant place. You know he has this army of parademons. You now know he has these things called Omega beams, and that they track and they follow you
until they hit you, actually.
And Barry figures out that it has to be that way, and he's trying to think about something, and he phases through a parademon, and it hits a parademon and explodes. Genius stuff. Meanwhile, Barry in the movie can't be bothered to touch parademons without going ew.
Superman gets hit.
Yes, that's what happens. Superman gets hit because he phases through. It kills the parademon. Superman gets hit. They carry Superman away like groceries. And it's like, yo, they took Superman, and Darkseid is there, ready to answer to this because everyone they're taking to this that tower that popped up, the tower that Aquaman jumped off of. And so that's where it's becoming the parademon factory, but that's not where Darkseid is. Darkseid just showed up here in front of everybody. And the first person to want to take him out is Green Lantern. Green Lantern's got this, right?
Green Lantern's got this.
So he goes and tries to attack him. And again, with I guess out of the lack of concentration or what, but the constructs are just weak. And he is in over his head, but he's not giving up. I guess that's part of that willpower, right? And he's saying that's not all he got. And, like, you see that image of him, like, almost punching the construct off of him. Like, what is that? Him busting the shield or something. And then he breaks Hal's arm.
I didn't feel bad for that at all.
You didn't?
Nope.
Why not? At that point, you still were annoyed by him?
Grant Lantern talking junk.
Why
talking hot junk throughout this whole thing.
At that point, I thought at least some of the members of the league would try.
Broke his hand.
But they're like, nah, he said he got it.
Nah,
he said he got it.
You just broke your hand yourself.
Nah, he said he got. That's what they kept saying. But no, the arm is broken.
Hal.
And Darkseid walks away. And Hal's ready to go back at it again. And he's like, I can handle this. I don't need anyone. I don't need any of you. Get out of my way.
Batman stops it.
And he's like, your arm is broken, you idiot. And he makes a construct out of he makes a cast out of a construct using the Green Lantern ring, excuse me. And he says, you're going to die. And he goes, then I die. How did you feel about that?
I was like, Hal, you better chill,
in that
man.
moment, because you think about it,
relax.
This is your introduction to everybody.
I said, you know what? Whatever. He dies, he dies.
He's kind of wild in a little
Go ahead,
bit,
Hal.
isn't he?
Do your thing. Go ahead.
He's a space cop. You have to have seen stuff kind of like this before.
Eventually,
What is your frustration here? Where is your anger coming from? It's not coming from just a situation with Darkseid, is it?
Nah. It's just being
They
trying
say he
too
says
hard to be a cool guy.
Well, he said, well, exactly. What are you trying to prove? Don't act like you know me. Who are you trying to live up to? And I mean, that who we know the answer to. That's his dad, who we know died in a plane accident. So maybe it's a thing about courage. Maybe it's that he's in over his own head, so he's just acting out of anger. He's confused. He feels like he doesn't know enough where he should know enough. And this is the first time since he's been a Green Lantern that the ring is not giving him any information that he needs to help defeat this thing. And now he's in over his own head. And of all people, to be Pep Talk City, and this guy becomes Pep Talk City throughout this, is Batman. And Batman says, we're alongside an alien, an Amazon, a human lightning bolt, a cyborg, and an Aquaman. As far as I can tell, you and I are the only ones here. And he goes, wearing a bat suit is normal? He goes, no, it's insane. And then he takes it off and says, I'm Bruce Wayne. That rhymes.
Hell is Bruce Wayne, he says.
I think he should have known who Bruce Wayne is.
I thought so too.
Might not have been able to recognize him, because I don't know every rich person, but I think if they said their name, I think I might know it. Again, beautiful, heartwarming moment that does not happen in the movie.
At all. I mean, they don't even take Superman in the movies though. Superman shows up.
Superman already knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Hmm.
Does Superman know Bruce Wayne is Batman?
I'm gonna say he does.
Wait a minute. I can't remember. Somebody tell me. Yeah, get to us. Let me know if Superman knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. Because I'm trying to think. Why would I think the only times they've seen each other is in thing, but he also has X-ray vision,
Yeah,
so he probably
exactly.
saw
That's
through
what I
the
was
suit.
thinking. Whatever.
That's yeah. Because he tells Flash outright. Well, he didn't tell Flash outright. He reveals himself when he grabs the batarang or
So
throws the
if he
batarang.
doesn't know, he'll know eventually, I guess.
When he throws the yeah, when he throws the batarang at Flash, so Flash knows. Wonder Woman already knew or figured out some sort of weird way, and then Superman kind of knew. They introduced themselves to Cyborg, but this was like a real heart to heart, thing. I never thought he would do that though, like out in the open. You don't never know who's walking around there, but it was pretty cool.
Dad man.
And then you get Bruce Wayne's origin. I had my parents murdered, spent my life trying to fight criminals like the ones who took their lives. But this isn't about me. This is bigger than me, and this is bigger than you, and you have to be bigger than this, and you're the man, and I'm gonna go be Batman. They're like, where the hell are you going? He's like, well, I don't know. Keep him busy. He's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm gonna go get Superman, and then he just raises his arms. And check this out. You want to check this attention to detail out. He takes off his cowl, but he also takes off his cape and his bat symbol. Yeah. And then raises it. So I guess he was like, well, if anyone sees me in the sky, they won't know I'm Batman. And when I land over there, they won't know I'm Batman. But he gets carried away by
the parademons.
Yes. By the parademons. So now it's Hal's job to rustle up the rest of the team because Batman just gave him the pep talk of a lifetime, and he
You the boss, Hal.
They try to explain it, and Cyborg is getting a little bit more of a hang of his stuff. So he's like trying to use a football analogy. Wonder Woman's not understanding it, but they get to the point of like, well, we don't know much about this Darkseid guy, but we do know that he uses these laser eye beams. And so then Wonder Woman's like, well, then we blind him. It's settled. And they're like, well, yeah, I guess we can try to find a way to lure him and get his attention. And Green Lantern kind of gives him a little bit of a pep talk. And then there's this cool panel where they say, we got this. And it's Green Lantern. He has them all, like, I guess he's helping them all fly to where they're about to go handle Darkseid. And what's cool is that you don't have Superman and Batman, who are the OGs. Everyone's the OGs, but I'm saying
right.
Those two, I think, have such easy character development because we know so much about them. We need to get more interaction between who's left over and see how these guys fit into the mold and how heroic they are and the decisions they make and the judgment that they got. Woo! But Barry makes fun of him. He's like, "We got this. Is your big battle cry?" And Barry's like, "What's wrong with you? You seem like all heroic and stuff now." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." But Batman gets to that tower, and a boom tube opens up, and he's able to see Apocalypse, and that's how the 5th issue ends. And it's a little weird because later on, you find out that if you're on Apocalypse and you're not from Apocalypse, like you get poisoned. Batman has to wear like some kind of weird suit to walk around in it, and Superman, I believe, had some poison from the fires of Apocalypse, the radiation or some shit, and that's one of the reasons why he got like really sick or whatever. But in here, the portal opens and he's
there. Yeah.
Issue 6 is the third act, right?
Right.
And this is the only time you introduce innocent bystanders. You have innocent bystanders in the movie, right? The Russian family who is attacked by the parademons. You follow them around in the film, in the live action film. But in here, you see a family running away from the parademons who are attacking a city, and you hear them say, a narrator say, I thought there was going to be no tomorrow. I thought my family and I were going to die. Then I saw them, and I saw tomorrow. and it's basically the Justice League all attacking Darkseid in various directions, using everything they can: the super speed, the super strength,
Lasso over
Aquaman,
the
yeah, the
neck.
lasso of truth, the trident, and they say, "Why are you here?" And he says, "For her." And they say, "Her who?" At first, I thought he was talking about Wonder Woman, but it turns out he's talking about his daughter.
His daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on this earth looking for his daughter. Um, so that's a whole other family story for a whole other time. But he's taking these guys out left and right, and Cyborg is starting to realize that there's a connection between the boxes, the boom tubes, Darkseid, and because he's part of some of that same technology, he can kind of see and use them to see into things, and he can see Batman on Apocalypse, and Batman's overseeing longtime members of Darkseid's army, Desaad, who is a legendary torturer, and Steppenwolf, who was in the film.
Hmm.
They are basically trying to use Superman's body. Superman being the prime soldier, right? The super soldier
Right.
in many ways. Indestructible, fly, freeze breath, the whole nine, laser eye vision. And so you have these guys. They're kind of frustrating because they don't know what to do with him because they can't use his body, because they can't break into his body because he's Kryptonian and he's being tortured, and you have these sick images of Superman being tortured. But overall, Wonder Woman is still there, and just like this, I mean, a lot of this reminded me of the fight with Doomsday,
Hmm.
right? With a lot of this, come on, and her getting knocked to the side
down and come
and
back up to
smiling.
go and back up to fight him. Yeah, hell yeah.
How did you? It does kind of wrap up quick, right? Though, do you think that the fight lasts long enough? Because Wonder Woman leaps into the air and boom, stabs him in the eye,
Stabs him in the eye. I mean,
like on the first try.
Amazon person, I mean, she was kind of plotting hard on that, so.
And there was a lot of people to distract them. I'm not gonna be too critical because I really did have fun with this story, and you're really, like I said, it reminded me of the Doomsday fight because everyone's taking turns. They're trying to run around and they do a little bit of that to Steppenwolf, in the film, but right after that, Aquaman stabs him in the other eye with a trident, which those images are pretty for a comic book,
for a comic
are
book, hell yeah.
pretty extreme,
Ouch.
but it ends up becoming, well, we don't know if he's dead or not. And he's still walking around. He has a trident and a sword in his eyes, in both eyes, the weight of which I don't know what the hell, the pain that could be causing. And it ends up becoming a case of, we don't know if we can kill him. Well,
Send him back.
let's send him back. Well, how do we send him back? Well, Vic, you said those things were connected. We have to connect them somehow. And, they're booming around, and one even booms, while Vic is trying to tap into them, one booms where Superman, Batman, Desaad, and Steppenwolf are. They knock over those two, and Batman's able to rescue Superman and say, "We need a Superman." He talks him through it, and Superman just basically says all the horrible things that he saw, and they say, "We need a Superman." And one of the boom tubes is open, and Superman's able to fly through the boom tube into Darkseid. How do you feel about that image there of Superman taking
I
care
thought
of
that was
business?
cool because it was basically hearing the team through the boom tube,
Yeah.
the super hearing. So if that was the case, then him coming to and realizing his boys needed him,
Yeah, he got there on the double and was able to knock Darkseid out, and they're basically in this tug of war, and everyone's trying to push him through the boom tube, but they need to close it, and Cyborg feels like he can't. It's just hard, and they're swearing. Darkseid swearing to take Superman back with him because he wants him as his soldier. Really believes that he's this ultimate warrior, no pun intended. But Bruce again, right? Another
Pep talk.
pep talk.
Cyborg.
My computer isn't responding. It's not the computer. It's you. You're only shot.
You're the
You can still be in
iOS.
control. And Vic basically starts booming. Everything booms all crazy. You find out he fried every mother box. Sent Darkseid back. Sent all the parademons back. All the boom tubes all the mother boxes that were all over the country are taken care of. and a bunch of people start to crowd around, and they're like, "Oh my God, they're here. They hate us. What's going on?" Turns out, no, that's not the case. People finally love the heroes so much so that they're honored at the White House, at the Senate building. They're honored in Washington D.C. And Green Lantern's still giving crap to Aquaman, but the team seems to be together, and they have realistic doubts, right? Like
Mhm.
they say, like, I have a whole universe I have to protect, and
Like,
I
I'm
have
doing my
things I
own
gotta I
thing.
got
Yeah,
things I
everybody's
gotta
saying that
do
we
and
got
stuff
our
like
own
that.
things going on too, man.
And it's true, but when something like this comes about, that's when you
Yeah.
need it. When you
And
need
they
to get
ended up
everybody
coming together anyway. So
Yeah, because the president ends up getting a phone call, and boom, they have to unite. And Flash is like, "You can call us the Super Seven,"
yeah.
and eventually they end up getting called the Justice League, because of somebody who the guy wrote about his experience. The guy whose family was saved
Mhm.
wrote about his experience, called them the Justice League, I think, and wrote a book about it, and it became tremendous. And that's the end of Justice League Volume 1. But
Mm.
I really dug it. I really dug how the world embraced them at the end,
I
almost like how the Avengers
I
happened in
I really
Avengers.
dug it too, but it pisses me off a little bit of Justice League movie. So,
The film.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the back and forth, a lot of the
So
interplay.
bring on the Snyder cut.
The Snyder Cut seems to be out there, out there waiting. But this team gelled. Everyone had its moments. Everyone got what they needed to get off. Superman was scary at times, and him and Wonder Woman seemed unstoppable a
Yeah.
lot of the times, right? Like when if they really didn't take no damage, and Superman took a bunch of torture.
And I was about to say, and he got kidnapped.
Yeah, he got kidnapped, he got tortured, and so you get to see how much damage that those guys got to withstand, and they really got to take it to dark side. But it was the first introduction to the Justice League, and I think they did a really good job. They ended up shaking up the roster up a little bit when they introduced the two Green Lanterns, and things changed here and there. And like I said, this was an original change because they chose Cyborg instead of Martian Manhunter, and because of that boom tube technology, Cyborg is able to boom them anywhere.
Anywhere.
Uh, and I wonder if they're gonna
So
start using
unless
that.
you start boom tubing John Jones.
I wonder if they're gonna use that in the next films. The boom tube technology.
Boom tubage.
If people gonna be booming, Metro booming. But yeah, I mean it's right there on the page. I felt like it was the easiest thing to adapt, and we saw an animated version of it, so we know it could be adaptable. Like I said again, Justice League War. If you don't want to read Justice League Volume 1 of the New 52, it's basically the same story put up, and it was overseen by Jim Lee, who helped draw on this, and then Jeff Johns oversees everything, and he helped write this. But you can see that he really wanted to get certain characters give certain characters time to shine, and Green Lantern was definitely one of them, which I don't mind because Green Lantern is a person that at the time I didn't really know much about. And if you're gonna introduce the Justice League, do your due diligence.
Do your justice.
I hope they bring a Green Lantern in. They need to fix this, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to see him used so well here. It reminded me of when I first read it. And how well they did here establishing things. But it doesn't matter anyway because Dr. Manhattan messed up everything and all the timelines are askew.
And he's blue. Ooh, that rhymed.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
You are rhyming. You're rhyming. And you already know what to do. Look at that. I'm rhyming too. You can go ahead and pick up this volume 1 of Justice League of the New 52, wherever comic books are found. But if you like this review, and want to listen to a bunch of other reviews, whether it be comic books, movies, episodes of television shows, any bits of comic book media, and you like the Major Issues podcast, you can find us wherever podcasts are found, like Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the iTunes podcast app, I think iTunes in general. And if you're on iTunes, you have one of those iDevices, do us a favor at the Comic Book Clique, and leave a review. Let us know how we're doing here. It's the quickest way we can get feedback and improve our podcasting abilities. We're trying to sharpen our powers, just like Cyborg. So, please, just leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. For 5 stars, right?
Oh.
That's not too much to ask. No, give us what you think we deserve. But that's the again quickest way you could leave feedback. But you could always go to Facebook.com/ComicBookClique, Instagram @ComicBookClique, or use the hashtag ComicBookClique to talk about all the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. And you could talk to us there. And you can also go to Twitter @MajorIssuesCBC. We're on Twitter. Give us a little bit of back and forth. Let us know how you feel about Justice League in general and how they could fix it going forward, because they're gonna have to do something.
Snyder cut.
It's not completely in the dumps, but I wanted to do reviews on DC books right now because Marvel's killing it in movies so much that I want people to understand that there's so much in DC's lore and so much goodwill that they've done building these stories from the beginning. A lot of what good comes out of the New 52 starts in issues like this, in volumes like this, and I want to go back to that and restore the faith people have in the DC universe and their characters, because the stories are interesting, and with more stories like this we can get DC back to where it needs to. It don't have to be a Marvel versus DC thing. Ain't nothing but a G thing.
You know what
You know
Marvel doesn't have?
It's a CBC thing. You like that?
You know what Marvel doesn't have that DC does?
What?
Snyder cut.
Right? And with Flashpoint, who knows? Who knows what they could do, and who knows what could happen. But I know what's gonna happen here. We're gonna be back here next week for the Luke Cage season 2 review. There's gonna be a lot of binge watching this weekend. It's gonna be incredible. But I'm excited to tune into that, and it has been a great time. My name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
I am your Cloudus Maximus,
and this has been the Justice League Origins of the New 52 full review. And whether you are a human lightning bolt, a half human, half robot, some sort of guy in a bat costume, an Amazonian, an Atlantean, or a Kryptonian alien, or just a jerk with a green ring.
Yeah.
We are the Clique, and you, yes you,
are with
you.